In today's Model 42 video, we're taking a look at the top 5 best assault rifles you guys should be using. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. All right, before we get into anything, I want to just kind of break down for you guys here real quick what I kind of run on all my classes here, regardless of what I'm actually running as a primary. And that goes for like my, my tactical, that's a stim shot. My lethal is a semtex. My perk package here is always the same. I highly recommend this. Double time scavenger, fast hands, and quick fix. This is super, super good. And then of course, I run the munitions box, which you guys could probably also, tie into like dead silence or something like that. But I love that munitions box. It is super good. Now let's get into my first build here, and that's gonna be the M4A1, and this is my favorite build here I've had on this M4. This thing is ridiculously good, super fun to be able to use, very agile, and I absolutely love it. So this is my kind of general base overview of these attachments. Now let's get into it. So of course you have the FTAC Castle Comp, horizontal and vertical recoil control. Super nice to have on this gun because it has a weird bit of that iron sight kick. You guys know what I'm talking about if you ever use the M4. So I definitely say to use the FTAC Castle Comp on this thing to kind of stabilize it out. The tune on that's going to be a plus 0.65 and a plus 0.27. After that, we're going to go in here to the barrel section. You got to run that high tower 20 barrel. This is kind of like a non-negotiable on any M4 build, unless for whatever reason you're trying to make it into like an M4 SMG, something like that. Definitely recommend the high tower barrel. This is my go-to on every single M4 build. The tune on this is going to be pretty much all the way maxed out for aim walking speed and a negative 0.23 there on the bottom, so definitely try that out. We're trying to give this thing some mobility since it's already stabilizing it out anyways with the base attachment. Down below, we're going to go for the FTAC Gripper 56, aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. This is just my favorite, grip. I always run this on my assault rifles if I can. If it's going to work properly, I always like to run it. The tune on that's going to be a plus 0.70 and a plus 0.30. So give that a try. And then now let's move on here up into the laser section, which is an attachment that I love running universally. That's going to be the FSS OLE-V laser. ADS speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire. This is just a great attachment for any AR, SMG, even like an LMG if that's available on LMGs. I don't run LMGs too much, but you guys get what I'm saying. You can just throw this on almost any build. If you're trying to, throw on like an extra attachment, you don't really know what to do and you don't want to run like an optic, throw on a laser sight and you guys will really, really greatly benefit from that. For last attachment though, we're gonna run the Phantom grip here, and you guys could always swap this out for like the X10 grip if you really don't want to have that flinch resistance con. If you feel like you're getting too much of that con, definitely switch it out for the X10, but more or less the tune can work just about the same since these do the same thing, but the X10 will do a little bit less than the Phantom grip. The tune on this is gonna be a plus 0.55 and a negative 0.13, so that is my full tune there on that M4A1. Now let's move on to our next gun. So here's a gun I don't think a lot of people will be using, and I think this thing is criminally underrated, and that's the M16. So the M16 for me is one of those guns you can get really good with, and you can actually have a lot of one burst kills, which is something I don't see hardly anybody using in multiplayer. And I've actually ran this setup and I've had great success with it, and I don't ever see people using this, and so I gotta put you guys onto something here and show you an elite setup for this gun. So here's my general base overview of these attachments. I know my face cam blocks it. There's just like literally nowhere to put your face cam on this thing and have it be a decent size to the point where you're not blocking an attachment. But let's move into this here and we're gonna get into these attachments. So first thing, FTAC Castle Comp. This gun is going to have that burst sort of recoil, so it's going to go up as soon as you shoot it. And while that can be good to help you go from chest to headshots, it can be a little bit too much. So we have to stabilize out here with the FTAC Castle Comp. The tune on that's going to be a plus 0.39 and a plus 0.30. Definitely have to stabilize it out, so that's why we're doing that. We're not trying to go for like, aim down sight speed. We pretty much got to skip that barrel section because none of these barrels are any bit beneficial. Like, they really always just hinder your damage range and stuff like that. So it's like there's no good barrels for this gun in any capacity. After that, so we're just gonna go down here next up, throw in the underbarrel section. That's gonna be the phase 3 grip, aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. The phase 3 is another really solid grip I like to be able to run. It just works out beautifully. The tune on that's gonna be a negative 0.57 and a plus 0.14, so try it out. Now let's move up in here to the optic section. That's going to be the Cronin Mini Pro. So this pretty much, I got to say that any red dot here on this gun is going to work out perfectly fine. Any of these other ones over here are going to work out great, but the Cronin Mini Pro is that blue dot, red dot sight. So if I'm going to be building a gun, I'm only going to use the Cronin Mini Pro just because that blue dot stands out a little bit more so than the red, and I just personally like it anyways a little bit more so. If you don't happen to have it, it's the Expedite shotgun. You got to get it to level 7 and you will have it then after that for every single gun in the game, which is pretty cool. But the tune on this is going to be a negative 0.97, and then we maxed out for far distance. By maxing it out for far distance, you put the red dot sight further away from you. that also like it gives you more sort of like room to be able to see around you even when you're aimed down sight. And also it makes the visual recoil a little bit less because it's farther away from you. That's why console players are talking about the 80 FOV to 120 FOV all the way back in Warzone 1. It's like, oh my gosh, your guns have zero recoil. It's just because the FOV makes it a little bit look like that. And so you can kind of get that effect here by doing it like that. Now for our next attachment in the stock, the Assault T60 stock factory, crouch movement speed, sprint speed, ADS speed. Don't care as much about that crouch movement speed. That's not really a thing we really care about since we're not crouching around everywhere. I rarely ever actually just crouch. It's either I'm drop shotting or I'm running around sprinting. You know, I'm pretty aggressive when I play the game. You lose a little bit of recoil control, but don't really, really care about that. The tune on this is going to be a negative 2.06 and a plus 1.16. So that's how we have that tune. And then for our final attachment down here, we got the D15 grip. The D15 grip is one of those things that you can kind of interchange out down here if you want to kind of like go a little bit of a different route, but this will help keep you on target when people are shooting at you, as it is pretty crucial to be able to stay on target with this gun since it is a burst. It's not fully automatic, so it's a little bit less forgiving in that regard, but you guys can always swap it out for the SOC and ZX if you want a little bit more recoil control, or if you want your gun to be faster, throw on the X10. Between any of these three, you really can't go that wrong. This build is just fantastic, so definitely try out any of these and you guys can tune them kind of accordingly. But the tune on this is going to be a negative 0.39 and a negative 0.16, kind of speeding it up a little bit while still helping that flinch resistance. So that's my full build, that's my tune. Definitely try it out. This is a really good gun that's underrated. Next up, we're taking a look at the STB 556. This is a really solid assault rifle. This is actually one of my favorites besides the M4, the TAC 56. The STB is incredible. I mean, you just really can't go wrong no matter how you really build this thing. If you want crazy mobility, if you want it to be slow and just actually be a laser beam, I mean, you can't go wrong. This is a super effective gun. So here's my base overview of these attachments. This is a bit of a different build than when I've ran prior, but it works out really nicely. So I'm gonna show you guys this one here. But first attachment, we're gonna get up in here into the barrel section. We're throwing the Bruin Turrico 686 millimeter barrel. This is an integrated heavy barrel with a silencer, which is pretty cool. Nice little 2-for-1 deal, so you can kind of throw an attachment somewhere else, unless you didn't want to run a silencer in the first place. But I mean, that a lot of people kind of do. But that sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil control, always just great things to be able to have. It will slow you down, but that's just kind of the cost of having one of these type of barrels slash silencers. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.44 and a negative 0.30, so try it out. After that, go down here once again, the FTAC Ripper 56. Not going to explain this one, as you guys kind of know the drill on that one, so I'm just not going to explain it. The tune on that is going to be a negative 0.49 and a plus 0.36. Now let's move over up in here to the laser section. This is one of my other favorite, laser attachments besides the OLE laser. I love the VLK Laser 7 MW. They basically do the same thing. That's just a bit of a different name. There's a lot of attachments in this game that have different names, but have basically identical characteristics and how they actually function. So this is one of those attachments. And of course, you can't really tune that. Moving over here to the optic section, the Corona Mini Pro here once again. I'm not a fan of these STB iron sights between this, the MX9. The MX9 is also just kind of garbage anyway, so we don't really use that. But pretty much, I don't like the iron sights on this gun, so I always go for a red dot. Just makes this thing so much more usable. So we got that. The tune on that's going to be negative 2.42 and maxed out for that far distance. By the way, you really can't max out, a lot of the optic tunings here for the ADS speed. It will kind of start to negatively affect it. So we definitely don't do that, but the far distance doesn't really matter. Just max out for far distance. And then for our final attachment on here, the Bruin MX9 stock, crouch movement speed, sprint speed, and ADS speed. Just got to speed this gun up here a little bit, considering we've slowed it down just by some of the other attachments and stabilized it out. So this can help us out with that. And the tune on that's going to be negative 2.19 and a negative 0.62. So that's my full build, my full tune. Hope you guys enjoy this STB 556 build. All right, so this looks like the TAC 56, but this is actually the TAC V. And so while it's not technically an assault rifle, it's pretty much the SCAR H. The TAC 56 is the SCAR L, and I classify this as the heavy version of the SCAR. So this is like an upgraded, more like highly potent version of the TAC 56. And you guys are really gonna enjoy this build. I dropped my craziest ever gameplay using this exact build. So I'm like almost like a triple nuke. So this thing fries. Here's my general base overview of my attachments for the TAC V. It's like I said, just such a good gun. First thing on here, we got the Sock and Tread 40 vertical and horizontal recoil. This gun likes to kick like a mule, so we really got to stabilize it out. So that's why we got this thing on there. The tune on this is going to be to stabilize it out once again at a plus 0.52 and a plus 0.15. After that, got to go down here to the underbarrel section, the F-Tac Gripper 56. This is, like I said, one of my favorites to be able to run. So aiming idle stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. The tune on that's going to be a plus 0.65 and a plus 0.28. So hope you guys enjoy that one. After that, we're going to skip that barrel section. Not really too many effective barrels in here. We don't need any of this here for pubs. It's just not really a thing. Maybe if you're going for Warzone, maybe this could be beneficial, but otherwise not really. After that, so we're just going to go for the laser, FSS OLE-V laser. Like I said previously in my couple other builds, works great for just about anything. So this is an attachment I like having. Stabilizes the gun out while simultaneously making it faster. So you really can't get mad at that. After that, got to go down here to the magazine. Got to increase the base magazine size from that 20 to 30. Honestly, having a 20 round mag on a fully automatic gun, that's pretty criminal. Like that's really bad. We got to be able to increase it a little bit, but that 50 round drum, that thing is just, you know, it's slow as molasses. So you definitely don't want to be running that 50 round drum. You just got to throw this thing on there, and we kind of call the day with 30 rounds. Plus it's like a 2-shot kill. So like you got, you know, plenty enough ammo in the magazine for, you know, a few kills. So I just think 30 works out nicely. After that, for our final attachment, we got to go for the rear grip, FSS combat grip. Gotta once again help with that recoil control. This is just an absolute banger attachment to kind of complement this build, so I really like that. And then the tune on this is giving me a plus 0.77 and a negative 0.39. So that's my full build there. This thing is crazy ridiculous. You guys would fry everything in multiplayer with this build. And for our last gun here today, something you guys might be familiar with, the Kastov 74U. It's kind of one of those things that, like, we had, you know, the TAC V, which is not really an assault rifle, but it is. The Kastov 74U, which is technically speaking an assault rifle, but it's not used as an assault rifle. So this is a gun that I think you guys should really enjoy. It's in the assault rifle category, and it is super unbelievably effective in multiplayer. Let's get into the build. Here's my base overview for this build. I know a lot of you guys out there are really going to love this thing. You may be questioning it right now, but when you use it, you'll see why. First thing on your Sock and Tread 40. Got to stabilize the gun out. This thing also has the tendency to kind of kick around a little bit, so this will really help with that. The tune on this give me a plus 0.31 and a plus 0.28. After that, moving up here to the barrel section, this is kind of a bit of a controversial one here sometimes. That short tack 330. It helps your recoil control, hip recoil control, and bullet velocity, so it makes your shots register faster. But it does have some cons here, which are kind of interesting, and normally I would stray away from them. But I just feel that it works out nice with this barrel on there, and I've had great success, dropped some crazy new gameplays with this barrel and this setup. So we're just doing that. The tune on that's going to be a plus 0.13 and then a plus 0.36, trying to increase that damage range out a little bit, since you technically lose damage range with this barrel, so that's why we got that. After that, I'm going to go for the F-Tac Tiger Grip. Does the same thing as the F-Tac Gripper 56. The Phase 3, pretty much identical, all those attachments. So we're kind of keeping it pretty similar here. So we're running that. The tune's going to be a plus 0.57 and a plus 0.25. So hope you guys enjoy that one. And then now we're going to go down here to the magazine section. So this is kind of a bit of an optional one. I like having the 45 round mag on here, specifically if you're going for like shoot the ship, something like that. I mean, this is a great gun to have on shipment, just because, I mean, 45 rounds in this thing is incredibly lethal. 30 works out great, but that's kind of more for like the other maps, like some of the other maps. So this will work great here for shipment in specific with the 45, but it can be used just for anything. I just prefer to have a bigger magazine when I play, you know, a map like that versus some of the other maps. I can get away with just having 30 rounds, and that's perfectly fine. Also, because I have fast hands on, I'll normally get that, and it just, you know, it's sleight of hand. Obviously, you reload fast. So you guys get what I'm saying. You can switch this out for anything else if you really want to. But that's that. And then for our final attachment, we got the True Tac Grip, sprint to fire, and ADS speed. Just got to speed the gun up here a little bit since we've slowed it down just ever so slightly with some of those, you know, grips and everything like that, or, you know, the different attachments. The other tune is going to be a negative 0.74 and a negative 0.35, just speeding it up here as much as we possibly can without getting some negative detrimental effects. So that's my full build there. That's my top 5. You guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, and also check out one of these other videos here on screen. Just turn out Triple Cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.